Hi there, welcome to Cooking with Pouncy. Today we're going to cook some collard greens and I'll be showing you as I walk through this process with the collard greens that I have today for you to prepare, I should say, and there obviously are many ways to do that, but we're going to cook with Pouncy today on these collard greens. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do, I'd like to show you first of all a little trick that I learned a long time ago and saved me a lot of cut fingers, if you will, and board slipping around. So what I'll concentrate on to show you here, I'm going to take this cutting board. This is what I'm going to dice up my onions with. And prior to doing that, I'm on this marble top counter here, which is very slippery. And as you can see, and lots of you have worked with and had an issue with, is the slipping of the board. So what I'll do here, what I typically do, with a paper towel, and I'll wet it. I'm just going to put a little water on it to dampen it. And that's all it takes, is just a little bit. And I know I've seen lots of applications where folks use towels, literally cloth towels and stuff underneath their boards. But what I'll show you here, in case you don't know, and the little trick, is to take this dampened paper towel, lay it down on your flat surface, and put your cutting board on top of it. And as you can see, once I do that, it's really hard to move that cutting board. Really hard, and I'm really pressing down on it. So no matter what you're chopping or slicing or dicing, you have less of a likelihood of this board slipping from under you. And I just literally moved it with my hand, but I'm pushing it around. You can lift it up real easy, but that's a little trick that if you don't know how to do that, or if you've never done it before, that'll be a good little tool. And it's a paper towel, okay? So I'll take my onion here, because what I'm going to do here is prepare these collard greens. And I cheated a little bit today. I purchased these collard greens, and they're from the Glory brand. Let me show you what that is. The Glory brand. They're already washed and diced, if you will, or sliced. And it's a pretty good product. I've used it for many years, actually. And they're already cut. They're already washed as well, like I said. And some of the pieces are a little bit larger than this, but typically they're like this size, okay? As they diced them and stuff. So, but what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use 2 bags of these collard greens, and these are 1 pound bags, so I'll be making 2 pounds of them. There's very few stems other than the stems that are in the green itself, the green leaf, I should say, itself. But even if I was preparing fresh collard greens that I had to wash myself, I would leave the majority of the stems on. I see lots of people cutting the stems off, but the stems are actually good for you. So I would actually leave those stems on those greens as I cook them, and they'll tender up as well. And so the first thing I'm going to do, as I indicated now, is to dice my onion. And again, something else I don't recommend that you do, that I see people doing as well. When you take your onion, and this is a sweet onion that I've got here. I don't think it's a Vidalia, but it's a sweet onion. And I cut it in half. And the onion, as the grains go in the onion, goes like this, as you can see. And I see lots of people taking their cutting instrument or knife and going like this through the onion if they want to dice it. And they'll cut this way through the onion, okay? And then they'll cut this way. But I don't think it's necessary to do that. One of the dangers that you face, and I'll turn the back of the knife around, one of the dangers that you face is that knife slipping as you're hanging onto that onion like this and trying to cut through it to get to a point where you think you need to go in order to get a fine dice. You really don't have to do that, because Mother Nature's already done it for you. The onion's running like that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make my cuts, again, this way, as wide or as narrow as I want, okay? So I'm going to do this. I'll make it a little wider, if you will, because I want the onion to be a tad wider, not a fine dice. And then I'll come this way, having not done this, I'll come this way and I'll dice my onion. Now watch my hands as I do that. Every time I do this, I'm going to do this and pull that knife away. That way the onion doesn't stick, or potato if you're doing potatoes. It's the same principle, although the potato don't have the grain running a certain way. But once again, once you do this with the knife, put your finger there and pull that knife away, because if you don't, it's likely that it'll stick unless you're using with potatoes a potato knife that has holes in it, and it's not likely to stick on you. So anyway, you do that, and again, I'm going down between, and I got a nice dice of onion. I could have made it even finer if I'd wanted to, okay? So I'm going to do maybe half of this other one, half of the other one here, as I'm going to saute them. And again, here we go. you can see this, and I haven't talked about it yet, is a container that I use on a regular basis. I use it all the time. And this is bacon grease, or bacon fat, if you will. This is low-cal bacon grease. Don't get excited. When I say low-cal, I try to justify that by saying the countertop is low, so that makes the bacon grease low-cal. Does that make sense? Of course it doesn't. But anyway, this is what I do with my bacon grease. And I save it and put it in my refrigerator, and I use it a lot. Lots of flavor, and it's all about using it in moderation. So I'll take my tablespoon here, and I'm going to then put some in my pot here. This is a 8-quart container. I'm going to put this bacon fat in there, let it melt, and then I'll put my onions in there and start sauteing my onions. Okay, I got my a tablespoon, and this is the measure that I'll use in terms of my bacon grease or bacon fat to saute my onions. And so I've got two. I think I'll put 2 of these in there to start with. Okay, and I'll get my little spatula to get it off of here, because you don't have to do this with it. Okay, I'll just do that. And there's 1, and I'll put 2, and 2, if you will. 2, and we'll let that get hot, and that just takes a moment because my burner's on here, and I got it on, and that'll start melting, and then I'll put my onions in there. Okay, now that the bacon grease is melted and liquefied, I'm going to add my onions that I cut up. Okay, to that, and you can probably hear them sizzling. And I'm not trying to make the onions done, but I'm just going to let them sweat just a little bit, get a little translucent as they do that. And that's going to be just fine in a little bit. So one of the other things I'm going to do in terms of ingredients, and you might wonder, well, what are you going to use for meat? You're going to use bacon. I like using bacon, pork shanks or ham hocks, if you will, as well. I've done them either way you can imagine. I'll show you the meat that I'm going to put in momentarily, though. I'm also going to use chicken stock, which is what I'm going to use for my liquid. Now I'll use about a cup of chicken stock, actually to both of these packages, and they're 1-pound packages of collard greens. These greens are very high in water content, just as other leafy vegetables are. Cabbage is the same way. All leafy vegetables, high percentage of water. Okay, but having said that, I'm only going to use initially, if you will, again, about a cup of this chicken stock in it. I'm also going to use some red pepper flakes, just to taste, just a little sprinkle, and you'll see me sprinkle it. Some coarse ground pepper I like to use as well. Some salt as well to taste, and certainly you can use sea salt or kosher salt as well. Just a little bit of garlic salt as well. And one of the things I don't have here, as I make sure I don't forget my onions, and they're about ready already, is my little dish of sugar. I'll be right back here a second. And I've got my little handy dandy sugar bowl here, and this is going to be just a smidgen of sugar. It's not going to make it sweet, but I'll use a little of that. So what I'm going to do next ingredient that's going in, as I've got my onions over here doing their thing, this is actually pulled pork, smoked pulled pork. I bought it from my local store. We use these for pulled pork sandwiches with barbecue sauce on a bun and all that stuff, and I'm sure you guys know what that is. But this is already prepared. It's great flavor. It's a real smoky flavor, such as you would get from a pork hock, ham shank, or the likes, or neck bones, or turkey, and all that sort of stuff as well. So I'm going to dice this up just a little bit, cut it up just a little bit, because some of it's long and stringy and like this, and so I'm going to just hit it a little bit with the knife. As you can see here, I'll just put it on the cutting board here. I've already used this thing here for onions, this one. And I'm just going to rinse my knife here, although I'm not going to cross-contaminate with this having used the onion. Let me do that right quick here. Wash my knife right quick, and be right back. Here and back. Okay. Onions are looking good, okay? Onions are looking good. So again, I'm just going to chop this just a little bit. I don't want too many chunks in there. There's a big chunk, and I'll just cut it a couple of times, and now I'll just introduce that as well to my onions. Okay. And this stuff is great flavor. We did some, I did some barbecue pork the other night on a bun. And this turned out really well. It's the first time I've purchased this stuff actually from Costco, and that's where this came from. I think I mentioned that to you. I put a generous amount in there, almost all that I had left over, but once again, it's to taste, and that's about all I'm going to put in there. I'm not making a meat dish, I'm making collard greens, okay? And so the other ingredients I'm going to be using, I mentioned all of these stuff here, and I mentioned that sugar, and you'll see me do that. The main ingredient, obviously, is the collard greens. Okay, guys, so here's what we got going here so far. Okay, here's that smoked pork that I just put in here, and the onions are underneath that, are all entangled with it. And now we're going to add our collard greens to that mixture. Bag number one. I don't know why it named this one number one. The other one could have been number one as well. But again, it's going to look like, and it is, a lot of volume as I do this in this 8-quart container I've got here. And again, those greens have been washed. And every now and then you find a piece in there that looks bad to you or ugly, and you don't like this stem here. Okay, we'll just discard that. And take bag number two. Excuse me. We'll take bag number two. And we'll do the same thing with that. As you can see here now too, this is about 3/4 full. But I'm going to go ahead and put this other one in here as well, as it starts to cook. I got it on high right now, okay? So as it starts to cook down, I'm kind of pressing it down, helping it out a little. See, that one's got a little bit of a yellow leaf in there, and you're going to find that no matter what, even if I was doing regular greens. And again, I'm going to just press this down because it's starting to cook pretty good now. Cooking from the bottom, so when I start stirring this, that's exactly what I got to do as well. I got to stir this from the bottom because the ones on the bottom have started to cook, okay? So, now I'll take my handy dandy spices and other stuff that I'm going to put in here. My chicken base is going to go in there. And I think, again, I'm going to put about a cup of chicken base in here initially. I'll do that, and I can hear it sizzling. I'm going to cover this for just a moment. I'm going to cover it for just a moment. As you can see, it's been about 2 minutes so far since I first introduced this to the pot here. And it's already starting to cook down. And so I'm going to uncover it. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to start stirring this from the bottom of the pot. Again, you probably can't hear it, but it's actually starting to simmer now. Some of the greens are starting to cook actually. Color's starting to change a bit, if you will, a little darker. And it's really starting to cook now. I still got it on high, and already, just as I'm touching it here, I can literally see it sinking down in the pot here. And the volume was completely full when I put those 2 bags in there. So once again, I'm going to stir it from the bottom. You can see the meat and stuff. I can see onions as well in there. Pretty cool stuff, pretty cool stuff. Now I'm going to put my spices in there. All those spices I told you about initially as well. That meat's going to give it a great flavor, just like any other smoked meat you put in there, like I said as well. So I'm going to add, I think I shook my chicken base already. I'm going to add a cup of chicken stock. In fact, I'm going to add 1 cup of chicken stock. I guess I can use that other one. Thank you, Mama. Mama is my wife, actually, okay? So, I'm going to put about a cup of chicken stock in there. You know what I'm going to do? Actually, about right now, and I'm almost second guessing myself because I don't think I'm going to need a cup. This is a half cup here. Excuse me. This is a half a cup so far. And right now, again, it's really cooking down fast, and I'll show you that. It's really cooking down fast. So what I'm going to do now is add my salt and pepper to taste. And that's probably ½ teaspoon of black pepper to taste, not much. Red pepper flakes again, 1, 2. A little bit of garlic salt. A little bit. That's it. Just a tad sugar. Please be careful with the sugar because you can put too much sugar in it. That was just an eighth or less. That was even less, okay? I'm going to stir some more here. Again, I'm going to pour this so we can mix it up really good. This is chicken stock again. Now, I'm probably going to wind up with more in here, but I didn't want to introduce too much liquid too fast as this thing is cooking down. But I want some, they call it pot liquor in my neck of the woods, okay? And that's what's going to happen with these. And this is sure what it's down to now, okay? Looked like maybe a bag, but as you saw, initially it was 2 bags. So I'm going to put some more liquid in now at this point, which is going to give me that cup I was talking about as well. And be careful once again with that salt. That meat was a little salty too, as you know, smoked meats typically are. So I'll put the other half in here. All right. Chicken stock also has salt in it. You can buy chicken stock without salt too as well. I'm going to turn my heat down to simmer now as well. And I'm going to let it simmer and do its own thing. And cover it. And just almost forget about collard greens until they're just about ready. Okay? So I gotta let you see that again because it's like they're disappearing on me. Look at that. And it's about right where I said it was going to be. Excuse me. It's about right here now. Those 2 bags. Okay? And I can see liquid in there as well. Hopefully you can see that too. All right? So, we're going to put a cover on it. It's down to simmer. And I'll see you when it's done. Okay, we're about at the 50-minute point with these greens. And they're done. I don't want to overcook them. So I'm going to take them out. I got the heat's turned off. They're still cooking a bit because this is electric. We just moved here recently. I don't like electric. I've got to get used to it because it continues to cook for like a week after you shut the burner off, give or take. Anyway, so I'm going to, again, they're done. And we're going to dish some up here and let you see what that looks like. And so one of the things we talked about prior to my starting this process was the variations in the meats that you can use in making these greens. Of course, bacon is one of them, pork shanks, and the like. And what I actually used was a meat that I purchased for making pulled pork sandwiches not a couple of nights ago. It was a very good product, very tasty, so lots of smoky flavor. However, having said that, I won't use that meat again because of the texture of the meat. The meat's already done, and unlike a pork shank, which is what I have here, and we all know what a pork shank is and what it looked like. The texture of that meat is such that you can cook this thing and you cook it for 2.5 hours or 2 hours to begin with to make it fall off the bone. But it has a different texture to it. This has added a tremendous amount of flavor. If you can see the meat here, it's still intact after cooking for 50 minutes. It's still intact. Some of the pieces. Here's a piece here, if you will. But a pork shank wouldn't look like that. It would look like a pork shank, obviously. But this has got a tremendous amount of flavor. And I think you'll actually like the flavor. You know, get a corn muffin or some cornbread and all that stuff to eat these with. And I think you'll enjoy it still. We eat a lot with our eyes, and in my opinion, the eye appeal to this isn't as appealing to me as it would say a pork hock or pork shank in these greens. I didn't overcook them either, and as I said, I cooked them for 50 minutes, and you can see a stem that's here. They are, again, very tender. I'll just take one here. They are very tender, and I'm going to pull it apart for you. Very tender, okay? Including that. And I wouldn't overcook these because these are also very good for you. There's a lot of nutritional value in these greens as all greens, okay? So, the other thing I'll go back to, as I indicated to you earlier as well, the ingredients that I use in order to prepare these greens, and I would do the same thing even if I had the pork shanks or pork hocks or bacon, is my chicken stock for the liquid, the initial liquid that I put in conjunction with the liquid that is in the greens themselves. Is probably 70% water, give or take, I guess. Black pepper, of course, ground pepper, garlic salt as well, regular salt. You can certainly use kosher or sea salt as well if you'd like, and some red pepper flakes. Having tasted that, it's very good. It's very flavorful, and I think obviously the smokiness of that meat has contributed greatly to that. So I'm not unhappy with the outcome of the taste and how it tasted. The eye appeal is what I'm because I'm sort of a perfectionist, and the eye appeal is what I would not be happy with. Again, I won't use this kind of meat in it again. I would use bacon, as I said, or pork shanks or pork hocks. If you like this video, if you'd like, would you please subscribe to my channel, Cooking with Pouncy, and Pouncy is me, and hopefully we'll see you again. Thank you so much for watching.